will, well done, Bryn. Thank you. Just to let everyone know, we will be recording this event to send out to all of our members and those that could not make it. My name is Kyle Samajima, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Outreach Director at Cooperative Energy Futures, here to welcome you all from all over Minnesota. Um, we're just asking people to just put the town, city, etc., that you're from in the chat. Um, I will just let me get that out of the way. Let everyone know to if you're not speaking, just remember to um, mute yourselves. If you do have questions or issues as we go along that we don't happen to mention, please put anything that you need in the chat. I'll be facilitating most of the meeting. Bryn, who works for CEF, will be my right-hand person, doing lots of the other tasks that need doing as we do an online event. Just briefly, what we'll cover tonight in this annual member gathering. We'll have some welcome and introductions. Timothy will lead our CEF 2025 recap and vision for 2026. We'll have an hour for some member engagement, a survey that you'll learn more about from Scott Cole from Collectivity, and then some Q&A. We'll have some board candidate intros, and Allie Doyle, our communications director, will be on to talk about how that will work, timing, platform, etc. And then at the end, we will have a drawing for solar cooker and a portable solar panel. And I'll talk more about those towards the end. We do want to say thank you to Cedar Creek Energy, which is a local solar provider. They do also do community solar garden installations. They made these meetings and the prizes and et cetera that we're giving away possible with their generous support. I find it interesting. They only operate on referrals for residential solar, and I think they have a great reputation, and we trust and do business with them. So just another shout out to Cedar Creek Energy. We'll start with some staff intros, and as you can see here, here's a lovely montage of most of our staff. I'm just going to look. Did you want everyone to have edit access through the board bios link? Oh, probably not, Simona. I will change that. Thank you. As you can see, this is our staff. We do have one new staff member, Jillian Wild, who is not pictured here, but we're going to go ahead and you guys all have the same screen in front of you. We're going to go left to right, top to bottom, and just have staff quickly introduce, name and title. Let's start with you, Bryn.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. My name is Bryn Shank. I've been working here at the co-op for about 4 years. It's great to see some new faces and familiar faces. My role as of July is Sustainable Homes Program Specialist. So I'm helping launch our energy efficiency program. Kick it to you, Kyle.
Well, as you just heard, Outreach Director at Cooperative Energy Futures. I've been here for about 2 years. I'll pass it off to Timothy.
Hi, all. Thanks so much for coming. Timothy Dunner Thomas, General Manager at CEF. I have been here since the beginning, 2008, 2009, depending on what you count. Yeah, very, very excited to share with you today. And over to Tyler.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyler Furman, and I am the Operations Director at Cooperative Energy Futures. I joined the team just a few short months ago, and really have some big shoes to fill. Charlie was here for a while and moved on, and I have the opportunity to help kind of streamline our processes, grow our programs, and just try to make sure that the trains are running on schedule every day. Really thrilled to be here and to be a part of CEF.
Thanks, Tyler. And then we'll just pass it off to Scott, who can introduce himself and his role here tonight.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kyle, and the rest of the CEF team. I'm Scott Cole, managing partner of Collectivity. We are a worker multi-stakeholder cooperative. We just celebrated our 12th birthday in May, beginning of this month. We have 6 full-time members and 4.5 graduate interns that work on our team, and we do capacity building for nonprofit and social business organizations. And that capacity building looks like things in the area of strategic planning and implementation, down to basic blocking and tackling around project management and team collaboration tools. We do a lot of technology implementation as well as needs assessment and process mapping and all the other things it takes to have organizations run well. And as Tyler mentioned, keep the trains going on time. And I will be leading in a survey a little bit later and talking a minute about our member engagement process that we're engaged in right now. Who's
Thank you,
next?
Scott. Oh, thought that was Bryn for a second. We do have some board members who are also prospective or candidates for a second round. We'll get into more of that later. But right now we'll start with Brett.
Hello, everyone. Brett Thompson. I have been a board member for 4 years, and I'm up for re-election here. So I don't know. Probably just getting a quick introduction right now, or are we talking more later? Or yeah.
Yep, you'll have more time later to say more about why you're running, etc.
Yeah, great. So yeah, hello, everyone.
Thanks, Brett. Aaron?
I assume you mean me, Kyle?
Yes, I do. Sorry.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. My name is Aaron Miller. I'm a board candidate in the upcoming session, and I've not run for the board or been on the board in the past. So I'm excited to introduce myself in a little bit and get to know you more.
And Bronson.
Hi, I'm Bronson, board candidate. We're doing the 1 to 2 minute introduction now. Is that the?
No, we'll do that later. Like
Okay, great. Yeah.
we'll do a fuller intro later. So really
Cool.
just hi, I'm running for the board.
Yeah, I'm running for the board. I'm excited about the work that you all are doing. There's seems to be at a really big inflection point right now. So I'm very excited to be running for the board, and we'll talk more later.
And Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Neely, board candidate. As someone mentioned before, I'm in Wisconsin, so I guess I'm calling in from the farthest part of the way.
Well, welcome everybody. And for those who just came in, if you want to put the town you're calling in from in the chat. I know Mary Kay was here. Now I don't see her. Maybe she'll be back. At any rate, I am going to hand it off to Timothy. Oh, well, that was some collectivity stuff. We'll come back to that later too. Hand it off to Timothy to do our 2025 recap and vision for 2026.
Thank you, Kyle. And again, thank you all for coming tonight. I wanted to start off just by regrounding us in why this organization, why this co-op exists. And I think this will be familiar for a lot of you, but again, just to really ground in it, we are really here to build access to wealth and ownership in a way that's deeply democratic in our energy system for all of our members. Our mission is really broad around energy democracy and energy justice. We currently have over 1,700 members across the state. A huge piece of that is ensuring affordability and access. We do that across all of our programs by offering energy solutions that reduce or eliminate upfront costs and that generate energy savings. That makes what we do really accessible for members who are low income or have other barriers to participating in the clean energy transition. And it feeds into the broad focus of our work on equity. And I want to highlight, in the world we're living in today, it's not just costs are rising, but it's also the future is unpredictable. We're facing an energy future that is triggering things like climate change, you know, uh, increasing monopolies and centralization of wealth, all of these various uh, challenges that our society is facing. And this organization is really about ordinary people coming together and building a shared ownership structure for how our energy system should work. And I want to highlight that the work of this organization, it can sometimes seem, small or like we're just kind of making change one by one, but we are really seen as a visionary leader in the state and even around the country around these sorts of issues. We've had a really outsized impact on how the state of Minnesota thinks about clean energy policy and shapes how local and state investment and the rulemaking around energy works to actually benefit, ordinary people like you and me. Um, so just as we go through kind of looking at the last year and what's ahead, just always want to keep this in mind. Can go to the next one. Um, 2025 was a really, really rough year. And some of this is stuff that you are all experiencing. We're in a world where energy prices are rising rapidly. That's due to all the chaos that's happening, right now in Iran and the Middle East, but also severe weather that's disrupting fossil fuels and other parts of the energy extraction process. And we're also seeing just this huge boom in data centers and AI and other types of electrification as well. Some of which are probably a good idea, but there's a lot of stuff in there that is questionable. And all of that together is creating an environment where energy is becoming increasingly unaffordable. And I'll remember when I started doing this work over 15 years ago. That was true for a few of us, and that's just becoming true for more and more people across our communities. And while there have been clean energy solutions for a long time, the ways that has mostly been done by utilities and private companies really don't work for a lot of us. For folks who don't own property or don't have access to a lot of capital up front. Add on to all of that landscape, 2025 was in many ways a time that, from a federal policy perspective, kind of pulled the rug out from under us. In the early part of the year, the federal government pulled back. It was called the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which was a whole series of about $27 billion of loan funds for clean energy infrastructure and energy justice projects. And we were actually very far along in the negotiation process for financing our projects through some of those dollars when we essentially found out that would be um, clawed back and in legal limbo for who knows how long. I think it will still ultimately come through, but somewhere between 1 and 3 years from now, which didn't help at the time. So we essentially had to revamp our entire process for financing the projects that we brought online last year, which caused all sorts of delays and increased costs and that whole mess. And then even more significantly, in the middle of the year, Congress sunset the tax credits for solar, which was a huge shift in our opportunities to develop future community solar projects. Now, the great thing, which we'll get into, sorry, we just left the slideshow. Um, uh, Kyle, you're getting us back, I assume. Um, uh, yeah, so the great thing is the way that we did that or the way that was done, created a window for us to lock in projects before the tax credit expires, even if we can't actually build them for several years. And we really use that to lock in a really impressive opportunity for the next several years in this co-op. But it was a ridiculous amount of work and a lot of pressure on cash flow for the co-op. But in that really challenging federal context, I want to emphasize the state and local government level is just kind of doubling down on support for this work. We've had great policy overhauls here in Minnesota that support equitable community solar and are also increasing incentives for energy efficiency and home electrification, all of that. And there's also a number of local governments, I'd say particularly the city of Minneapolis, that are investing really heavily in that too. So we're kind of in this moment where we're dancing between some things coming crashing down and other things just accelerating even more. And it's been a challenging but also really compelling moment to be doing this work. So if you go to the next slide, I just want to dig in a little bit on some of the highlights from 2025. And, big one, we got 3 more community solar gardens online during 2025. The Lake Elmo project in October and Mankato and Midtown in December. This picture is Jim Woods, who's a member in Lake Elmo or in the Lake Elmo area at our ribbon cutting for the Lake Elmo Community Solar Garden, which we had in October, and have really had a lot of fun with those member events, bringing people out and actually seeing what their cooperatively owned power looks like. Um, Despite all those financing challenges that I mentioned, we did also finalize project financing for not only those projects, but also the 2 that we brought online in 2024. We still had some uh, locking down long-term loans that we needed to do. And all of that got done basically right at the end of 2025 and even into the very first days of 2026. But it's behind us, so that is a great relief. And with those projects, we're now at 13 megawatts of cooperatively owned community solar. That's about a $35 million capital investment that is offsetting the energy needs of over 1,300 member owners at this stage. We're really excited to have gotten to this stage. It's a huge step, and I'm always kind of torn between this place of feeling like we have so far to go, and then I talk with folks who are trying to do this work all around the country, and they're all looking at us as the shining example of where it's working. So it's nice to see the progress keep building. I also want to highlight, if you go to the next slide, that opportunity. I mentioned that the way that the tax credits sunset, we were essentially able to lock in a whole bunch of new projects. And we have actually secured the tax credits on 14 new sites, several of which are much larger than projects we've developed before. So across these sites, we actually have 87 megawatts of potential community solar projects to develop over the next several years. Again, that's in comparison to 13 megawatts that we have developed in our entire history. So I'm very excited about that. Um, I want to highlight we're not actually going to get all 14 of those projects. I'm sure something will come up in the development process on some of them. But even if we get what we think is likely, somewhere between 50 to 60% of that development opportunity actually built over the next 4 to 6 years, it's just going to be a huge expansion of what we can offer for members. I do really want to highlight this is going to take a while, primarily because Xcel Energy's interconnection process, the process of getting approved to connect these projects to the grid, is so backlogged. Just the process of getting these projects studied at minimum will take about a year, and many of these projects we're expecting we won't get those studies to be completed for somewhere between 2 and 4 years, which is the huge thing that's really holding up our momentum and progress on this. Um, it's going to take a while, but sooner or later, we think some of these may be as early as 2028, more of them 2029, 2030, 2031. We'll be able to bring these projects online and offer those benefits to hundreds of more members. And yeah, I just saw a question. Yeah, this is all connecting to Xcel Energy's grid. So the way it works, we rely on Xcel to cooperate, and they don't particularly like doing that, but the state government says they have to, so we just keep going. Um, And then finally, I want to highlight another big thing from 2025 on the next slide, which is that we launched the Sustainable Homes Program. This is a huge step in diversifying what we're doing, moving beyond solar. This is a program currently available only in Minneapolis and currently available only for single-family homeowners, although big emphasis on the currently in both of those categories, where we are essentially able to create a full service offer for home energy upgrades. So things like insulation and air sealing, heat pumps, high efficiency HVAC equipment and water heaters, essentially things that will help our members reduce energy use and reduce energy costs while also having healthier, more comfortable homes. And we've essentially done this building off of a model that's had some success in other communities around the country. And we're working with an organization called Utility that actually has run many of those programs in other states, where we essentially cover most or all of the upfront cost of the upgrades. And then we use utility and city and in the future maybe state incentives to cover to essentially pay back most of that upfront cost. And then we essentially calculate how much energy will we be able to save through those upgrades and allow our members to pay us back through service charges monthly, based on no more than 80% of the energy we're saving. So essentially, this means you can get all these improvements to your home for little or no upfront cost. You pay us back while still saving about 20% of the energy savings that we generated above and beyond what you pay. And then once you pay that back as a member, and we've recovered the cost, you get the full benefit of that savings. It's a pretty in-depth process. I'm not going to go way in the weeds, but Bryn, who's here, kind of runs folks through this every day. And we're really excited about how it's moving. We just launched this program in October. As of April, we had 57 energy assessments completed and about 30 home energy upgrade offers in the pipeline. And generally, we're seeing most households about 70 to 90% of the cost is covered by incentives, and then most of the remainder we're able to tie into those monthly payment models. So really exciting new program, and we're very excited over the coming years about how can we expand this to renters and people in duplexes and that sort of thing, and also go beyond Minneapolis as the opportunity expands. So with that, I want to pivot a little bit to, if you go to the next slide, really the overall picture of all the things we're doing in CEF. I think most members know us for that community solar opportunity, and that's still the core focus. It's the biggest and most prominent thing that we do. But now sustainable homes in particular is kind of adding in as a major piece of what we're doing, and we think that there's a huge expansion potential in that. We also do have an affordable solar program that is for low-income renters and homeowners, where we're installing rooftop solar at no upfront cost, and again with a savings of about 40%. That is a pretty volume-limited program because it's reliant on state incentives, so we're doing it, but we don't think it's something that we can make into a huge program that's easy for everyone to access. Then I did want to highlight that we've got a couple of other programs that are in development, but we're expecting to be figuring out how to roll out in the next couple of years. One is a program for neighborhood geothermal energy. So this is actually providing heating and cooling for lots of different residences and local businesses in a neighborhood, using the heat of the ground, and the way that that can provide a stable source of heat. We've been actually going through some feasibility studies right now. We think it's possible we might have a pilot ready in 2027. But just that's another big thing we're working on. And then we're in the very, very early stages of exploring a model that has been on the horizon in our thinking for several years, which is essentially as we help more and more members get things like heat pumps, things like rooftop solar, things like batteries, how can we link that all together in a way where we can essentially together as a co-op be a power plant? We're providing energy to the grid when it's needed and avoiding energy use when it's in scarce supply. And that can be another way to generate revenue for our members. So this is really a big picture vision of where we're trying to go in the years ahead. How does this tie into our financial picture? I want to stress that I'm so excited by the work that our team has done over the last year, just really kind of nailing down our financial trajectory. And I would say we are in a position where we have way more clarity about our financial picture long term as an organization than we've ever had before, which can enable us to start making some big decisions about where do we invest in member services and member support. This is just one slide from a broader financial projection that we have built that is highlighting what we're expecting in the long-term trajectory as we start to build out more of these projects and the sustainable homes work. And basically, what I want to emphasize is that really for the first time, we're looking at a future where just the ongoing operations of our projects, once we build a healthy portion, this is assuming about 60% of those new community solar projects, just the ongoing operations of those projects, not developing new ones, will be able to sustain this organization. And what we see is essentially a period where we generate a whole lot of revenue when we bring those projects online, and then are able to operate very sustainably after that. And this is kind of a pivot point for the organization where we're going from scrappy, fly by the seat of our pants, figure out each opportunity and how do we make it to the next one, to really being able to invest at scale and start to build capital in the co-op, which both means getting to the types of things I've been hoping to see for years, like uh, member dividends and also members being able to decide together what do we want to invest in our community. I also want to highlight that we are about to launch a new round of member preferred stock. We've done this a number of times in the past. Pine, our finance director, is not here tonight, but will be at our in-person meeting on Saturday, and is available for general questions about that. And we'll send notices to all of our members about that opportunity as well. But it is an opportunity for members who live in Minnesota to invest and earn a target dividend of about 5% on the work that we do going forward. And it's a big piece of enabling us to kind of get through this cycle to a place where we're really sustainable. I'm almost ready to close here. If you are ready to transition. But I just, again, really wanted to say thank you for being here. And as we look into this coming year, we're going to be digging deep on kind of moving through this long-term trajectory of way more community solar, scaling up sustainable homes, trying to bring some of these other member offerings like geothermal energy online. And that's also really going to require way more engagement and participation by our membership than we've ever seen before. And we're really looking forward to working alongside you. And, Kyle and the collectivity team will talk a little bit more about what that's like. But just really want to emphasize, sometimes being in a co-op, consumer co-op in particular, it can feel like, this is just another service provider. Um, we're at the moment organizationally where we're ready to start making the shift into no, actually this is a member controlled enterprise that's starting to change the face of how energy works in our communities. And we want you to tell us how to do it. I really want to emphasize, the board of directors is my boss. Y'all pick and make up the board of directors. You should be looking at this as an opportunity to use your voice to say, how do you want this organization that now has 17 staff and 1,700 members and is on track to have tens of millions of dollars of infrastructure that can help cover our members' energy needs? How do you want that to work? And that's really the question I want to leave you with as we look into the future. And with that, I will hand it back over to Kyle to take us to our next step.
Thank you for that, Timothy. I think it can be hard to wrap our heads around something that sometimes feels intangible, like energy, despite the fact that we are all using it right now. So to just hear the impact of what we're doing as a cooperative and the collective nature of that is really, really exciting. So we're going to move into the next hour of really engaging with all of you, having you engage with each other. I'll start with a reading that I have that I'm super excited about. We'll get an intro to this survey that we're doing from Scott Cole.
Please don't start it yet. I saw the link go in the chat, so hold your horses.
Yeah, don't do it yet. We just want to, give some context for it and explain a little bit. Then we'll put you all in some breakout rooms so there can be some smaller group discussion, and we'll have a question prompt for that, and then we'll come back for your Q&A. With the Q&A, we will start with the questions that were submitted ahead of time. We've got those. We'll address those, and then as much as we have time for, we will address afterwards. If you want to put your question in the chat, or even you can just put your name and say, I have a question, and that will enable us to go in order for people that have questions. I am going to start. I have the good fortune of going to an event a few weeks ago run by Co-Minnesota that supports cooperative development. And there's a woman there named Electra, and she works for the Metropolitan Consortium for Community Development. Kind of a, long acronym, a long title, but an amazing organization. And she was so inspiring, and all of the work that we do is amplified by each other. And I'm just going to read some of like a missive she wrote on cooperatives. I don't normally read things, but it was so compelling that I'm going to. I think you'll enjoy it, and I will share the whole thing later with you if I get Electra's permission. But here I go. Many of us are in this room because in one way or another, we already sense that the future cannot be built alone. In fact, never has been. Maybe that belief brought you to the cooperative movement. Maybe you arrived through necessity. Maybe through frustration with systems that ask communities to compete for survival. Maybe through witnessing what becomes possible when people share ownership, responsibility, risk, and concern for their neighbors and communities. But I imagine many of us are here because we carry some quiet understanding that our lives are already deeply interconnected economically, socially, ecologically, politically, whether our systems acknowledge that or not. And perhaps cooperative spaces feel meaningful because they allow us to practice that interdependence intentionally, to build relationships, structures, and solutions that reflect what many people already know in their bones, that our well-being is tied together and the future is collective. Not because collectivism is trendy, not because cooperation is idealistic, but because isolation is proving itself unsustainable. That really got me when I heard that the first time. Many of us are probably here today because in one way or another, we already know this. The future is collective. The question is not whether we will depend on one another. The question is whether we build systems worthy of that dependence. And I think there is wisdom in this room about what becomes possible. That sums it up for me, like what we're doing here as community members and part of a cooperative. So that I just wanted to set a more, cultural, social background for what we do here at Cooperative Energy Futures, knowing that we serve people from every kind of background and do this together. At this point, I am going to hand things over to Scott Cole, from Collectivity, and he will, oh, one thing I forgot. Sorry, I'm not following my own thing. If you are not a member yet, and yes, that question, are non-members able to participate in the survey and breakout rooms? Yes. And Bryn just put the link to become a member in the chat. There's also this QR code if you have your phone handy and want to use that if you aren't already a member. And we can talk about membership questions in the Q&A if anyone has them. With that, we're not going to do this survey yet. I'm going to go back. I won't put that up, Scott, just so you can have a chance to.
Just a minute. That's all we need.
Just
Thank
a
you.
minute. Yeah.
Just to piggyback on Timothy and Kyle's remarks about cooperative, we specifically chose cooperative as a legal container for collectivity because there's something about the essence, the foundation of what makes healthy, thriving communities. And we've all witnessed the runaway effects of wealth and income disparity and the increasing gaps between those who have and those who have not. So collectivity sought to build that into the way in which we do capacity building. And so the member engagement process that we're working with CEF on is really broad in nature. We really want to wrap around what Timothy was talking about. This is your organization. Every member has a role, and the survey is a very short one. It'll take maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes at the most for you to fill out. And it's the beginning of this process of talking to you about what are the things that you're most interested in seeing come forth in CEF and what role you may want to play in any aspect of the organization's activities across a broad spectrum of need, from advocacy to community development to leadership, board, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a couple of questions in the survey that will allow you to state your preference in that area. And the Menti process will allow us to show some of those results live on the screen once we get that up, so the person running the slides can manage that part. But just one little more bit about collectivity and its membership. We have a small team, like I mentioned, 6 people that are all a part of our member cooperative. And then we actually do cooperative development as well. We help other organizations who are interested in becoming co-ops. So if there's folks out there who have an interest in knowing more about how that actually works, we'd be delighted to have a conversation about that. So I'm open for questions after this in the Q&A. If you want to fire up that survey for us, and we can all get started. One thing, you can do it on your desktop or you can do it on your phone. It's almost easier to do it on your phone if you happen to have that handy. But if you want to open it on your desktop, you can put that link into your browser and open up a new browser tab and just do it that way. So I'll let you guys get at it. It'll take about 6 to 8 minutes, and then we'll come back together again.
Thank you, Scott. And I'm just going to show a little video of our Midtown Community Solar Garden as a little background. Hey.
Back to you, Kyle. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, everyone. And know that we really value your input, your time, passion, energy. And just to give some time for all of us to just get to know each other more, talk more about like what brought us here. We're going to put you in some breakout rooms, and for about 10 minutes. And we're proposing this question. What are you feeling most positive about as a member or prospective member of CEF, knowing that we at other times take all kinds of comments and feedback. We know that it's not all perfect, but today we thought this would be a great place to really focus. So Bryn is going to put us in breakout rooms, and you'll just let us know when you're ready. And again, and if other topics come up that you want to talk about, we'll let your groups, figure that out. And when we come back, we'll have a couple people do a quick report back. But we'll also ask you to put 3-5 words in the chat when you come back about what came up or something you might want to share. So Bryn, if you want to go ahead and
All righty, here we go. We're all gonna fly through the Zoom internet to these rooms.
woo! I think we're all about back now. Like I just said in my group, that was short but sweet. It was really, it just makes me think, oh, we just need more of that time to just really converse and get to know each other. And if you would, thanks, Bryn, put 3-5 words in the chat about what you feel most positive about being a CEF member. And Scott, I know maybe we're springing this on you, but is there any visual you can share from the survey or any kind of themes that popped up?
Just a moment here. Yes, I could do that. Um,
I
let's
love it.
figure out what the best way is to do this.
Love it. Loving these comments. And even if it's just you left with more curiosity or more questions or more frustration, that's fair too.
Well, let's see what. There we go. I need to share a screen. Let's pick this one. So these are some of the numerical ones. So the question about how connected you currently feel to CEF as a cooperative, kind of just a little bit over the median there. And see if I can get my cursor to follow me around here. How clear do you feel about your role? A little bit less as a member than median. How connected do you feel to other CEF members? 2.3. What would help you feel more like an active member? A lot of multiple selections here from folks. Having some kind of active role. And 16 was supporting related advocacy work, being the top one. Cooperative education and training be the second top one. And we'll just take one quick look here. What felt most helpful about your experience? The kind of caring people we connect with. Bryn has been one of the most connected. This is my first meeting, so don't have much. Interactions with staff have been warm and collaborative. Mission is the most meaningful thing to me. Well, I work here. Okay, that's a good one. Building a network of people who care. So I think, that's a representative sample. We are going to synthesize all of that information and provide some feedback, obviously, to CEF about that. And I will be pulling names out here while Kyle takes the Q&A over so that we have names for the drawing at the end of today.
Yes. Thank you everyone this is just, we obviously are thrilled, and I think there's a passion and a drive for people who work here. For most of us isn't just, a ho-hum job. We really are shifting society and systems and communities and we have a lot of improvement to do, continuous improvement, and we want to do better with our members. And so all of this is really taken to heart. It builds us up and makes us do better. So thank you for everything that you share, positive, negative, and everything in between. And it's not even, yeah. At this point, we has Allie hopped on? I think we're a little bit.
I think we were going to do some Q&A, Kyle.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm
No
like ahead of myself here.
It's all good. Yeah, we got some questions from some folks, and then I'll read them through, and if we can get to some new questions,
Oh
feel free
yeah.
to throw them in the chat. And if I haven't said your question well, feel free to jump in. But we've got a question from Peter, and that said, what can we do to diversify the staff of CEF and perhaps the membership? Looks like there's like a lot of folks that are white, and that might be the case in the general membership. So I thought I'd throw that to you, Kyle.
Yeah, and I did put a response in the chat, but absolutely appreciate this question, Peter. And we know that about where we stand right now. And again, take that to heart and understand the value of diversifying our membership. And honestly, it's across political spectrums, it's across demographics, it's across all different kinds of things that, as I said earlier, and what I talked about, supposedly divide us. We have been, as I said, like our affordable solar program, we have a lot of Somali community members in our affordable rooftop solar program, and did a lot of um, work in manufactured home communities, Landfall, Cimarron, Cooperative Park down in Richfield, and are really, really thrilled to be able to build those relationships with community members there. And it's a it's a question our society struggles with and is working on, and we'll continue. We will continue. And if members reaching out to people they connect with, that's everything. That's everything. And so know that we are working on that. There's much more to say about that, but I appreciate that question a lot, Peter.
Yeah, I'll add for the Sustainable Homes Program, Unidos is a local group that does a lot of advocacy with the local Latinx community, and they've been a partner with us on kind of doing outreach for that program. And the areas of Minneapolis that we want to serve with that program are obviously BIPOC communities. So that's something we're very aware of, and we're thinking about it every day, but we know it's something our members want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Sean, do you mind muting yourself if you're not talking? Just can hear you clicking away. Thank you.
Got a question from Marta, and I'm going to give this to Timothy. You talked about this a little bit, Timothy, at the beginning, but how are changes in federal support kind of affecting CEF? Maybe in something different from what you said previously.
Yeah. I mean, so much of it is we have to look so much harder at where are the opportunities. Other than this big batch of projects we just secured, a lot of that is shifting away from solar, not because we think that makes sense in the long run, but because it's what makes sense right now. And it's things like, the federal government went after tax credits for solar, but they didn't go after the tax credits for geothermal. So that's one of, we were already going to be working on that, right? But it became so much more of a focus and a pivot because there's a lot of opportunity there. Um, and and I think as we start to do just a broader range of services for our members, it puts us in a position where as these political tides ebb and flow, we can ramp things up and ramp things down and do what makes sense when we can and get back to the other pieces when the opportunity is back again.
Yeah, I'll add that for the Sustainable Homes Program, Timothy kind of mentioned it. There's these state and federal incentives that were coming and have not launched yet. So that's something that I get questions from people about. So, that's impacting our program right now is when those incentives happen or don't happen or whatever. Okay, next question was, and I'll give this one to you, Kyle, is just, how long are new customers waiting to be members, or maybe kind of the inverse is how long does it take for a new member to be like a customer in a program?
Well, anyone can become a member who lives, I mean, you can live anywhere. No, maybe you have to be a Minnesota resident to be a member of this cooperative. Is that correct, Timothy?
No.
No. Yeah,
Anybody can be a member.
anyone can be a member, but you do have to participate in our programs, live in the eligibility requirements that come with each one. For instance, community solar, you have to be an Excel customer. Sustainable homes right now, single family homes and those different eligibility things. But people, now that doesn't mean there's not a waiting list for some of our programs. So you do have to be a member to participate in programs, but you don't have to participate in programs to be a member and support what we do. So both are possible. We do have a waiting list for our community solar gardens right now, but you saw what's coming down the pike, and members will get a priority on our community solar garden waiting list if you're not already in a community solar garden. So I hope that, Angel, I hope that answers your questions and happy to your talk. Actually, that came in online, but sorry, answer. Sorry, I was looking and
There's two similar-ish questions, Kyle. It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
one that, yeah, very
I'll
similar.
come back to that.
This next one, Timothy's for you, is just a question about kind of, I think, given the challenges that have happened, is just like what would happen if CF goes out of business? And obviously, you don't need to go on a super long thing, but that was a question.
Um, yeah. Well, one thing I just want to say as some background is because of all of the things we've built, um, we have a lot of steps that we can take before we're anywhere close to going out of business, like scaling down or slowing what we're doing for a while we keep operating what we have going is the type of thing we'd be looking at first. But in the theoretical world where we go out of business, there is uh, there's a lot of assets, right, that we own and control, which include projects that are serving, hundreds of members. And those are contractually bound, like members have long-term contracts for the energy output of those projects. And theoretically, we could transfer those projects to some other owner and some of the cooperative benefits would go away, but the basic, you have a subscription and you're getting savings and that basic financial relationship would continue. We obviously don't want that to happen because we believe really strongly in the cooperative model and the cooperative benefit that we can get by building on that base of community-owned clean energy over time. But there's that kind of standard pathway if something were to happen.
Next one, it's going to be your favorite question, Timothy. Can you talk about the bill credits compare to, value of solar, those things? And maybe context, just, super briefly for folks that maybe aren't aware.
Yeah, are we talking particularly about the legacy projects and
Yes.
okay, cool. So this is a complicated issue. I'm going to try and break it down as simple as possible. There are two primary generations of community solar projects in Minnesota. Basically, before the 2023 low and moderate income program, I'm going to call legacy. That's often what it's called. And then there's the new low and moderate income program. Everything I'm about to talk about only impacts the legacy program. So if you were in Shiloh, Edina, Faribault, Haven, Waseca, Ramp A, Pax Christi, I might be missing one. Um, uh, if you're in one of those projects, this affects you. And if you're in any of the newer projects, listen to what I'm saying is like interesting information about CEF, but it doesn't actually affect you. The Minnesota Public Utilities Commission basically invited Xcel Energy to propose a plan for undercutting the compensation that subscribers are paid for their community solar subscriptions. This was back in 2024. And it was essentially switching the compensation method from being based on retail rates. So basically, Excel has to pay you in direct correlation with what you pay Excel. And retroactively, after all these projects were already built, after we had long-term contracts for the output, the PUC basically invited Excel to say, we're not going to pay that anymore. We're going to pay a lower rate that is not correlated anymore with the rate that our customers are paying. I see a lot of upset faces, and we're really upset about this. We think this was a deeply inappropriate move, and along with many other solar industry allies, we took that all the way to the Minnesota Supreme Court, unsuccessfully, unfortunately. So we're in a situation right now where subscribers who are in those original 8 gardens are right now have subscription agreements where they actually have to pay, it's not much, but a tiny little bit more than the bill credit they're getting. Not because we're charging anything different, but because the compensation the utility has to pay has dropped. Now, the nice thing is that the formula is really predictable. So we know that in about this point, it's about 4 years' time, that bill credit will again rise up to the point where what our subscribers are paying us is less than the credits that they're getting on their bill. And we know that this is still like lifetime a really good deal for the members in that program. But it was a really, really frustrating move, and it's hurt our subscribers. It's eroded a lot of the financial value that those members signed up for. When they first joined in as a Solar Garden subscriber, and we have lost some people. I mean, there's some folks who's like, I'd love to be a part of this, but I just can't pay, even 3% or 5% more than I otherwise would have to right now. And that's totally understandable. So
Still overall, those, sorry, Bren, still overall, those subscribers in the end will
yeah,
still be
lifetime, it's
saving.
still a lot
Right.
of savings,
But that,
but this like 5 year period is not great.
For people in the newer projects, is they're not affected by this change, or
Yep, not affected at all because the new law in 2023 essentially uh, we put a lot of effort into making the method by which the utility has to pay customers very, very clear in state law, um, so that they can't monkey around with it the same way they did the older projects.
Maybe another question here, and Aaron, just jump in if I haven't said this right, but you talked a little bit about how interconnection is just this huge problem and backlog, and Aaron's wondering if we market our membership and kind of maybe show how much want or need there is, would that kind of help with that issue at all, or not really? Is that kind of what we were going for, Aaron?
Yeah, partly that, or partly if we market it successfully and we get an enormous backlog, does that actually hurt us in undermining the trust we have with our members? Or broadly speaking, though, you're right. What is our response to that interconnection slowdown?
My short answer to that question is more members are unlikely to do very much about the interconnection slowdown. If we really had a mass campaign of people being really frustrated with the utilities, that might help a little bit, but the regulatory process is not very responsive to public input, unfortunately. I think, again, let's keep in mind community solar is not the only thing we do. So it's not like that stops everything, although, the offerings, if you're outside of Minneapolis right now, are few and far between until those new solar gardens come online. But I think the key is doing that promotion in a way that's really upfront, right? Like, this is a huge opportunity that's coming down the line. If what you're looking for is community solar, we're not going to be able to offer it for a few years here, but it's coming. And in the meantime, here's all the other benefits of being part of CEF, which in some cases is very concrete, other programs and offerings, and in some cases is just be a part of this community and be at the front of the line when that opportunity comes around.
Love it. Thank you.
And maybe last question here is and Nancy, if you're here and kind of want to jump in if I've said this wrong, but if I'm phrasing this right, but just kind of the question is, how does Excel's alternative energy plans like affect us? So maybe talking a little bit about the Carbon 2040, thing, and just how they plan to meet those goals and how that impacts us and maybe CF.
I assume that's to me too.
Yeah, I mean, I can take some of it if you want, but you can answer it, I think.
Cool. The short answer is that a lot of the state programs and requirements set a very high level goal, but say almost nothing about how it's going to happen. And our general experience has been utilities pursue execution of those goals in the ways that will best serve their interests, which has generally meant a lot of utility-owned energy and really big projects, some of which have ended up being really expensive, or, one of the things that you see because utilities make money off of investments is they build those projects in a way that also requires a big backup power plant or a big transmission line, which then is, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of additional investment that are needed. So I guess the quick and dirty summary is there's not a lot of direct connection there. There's obviously the work that we do helps towards those goals, but it's not like the utility is coordinating or aligning in a um, aligned way where our interests are all pointing in the same direction. And we also have had instances in a lot of those goals, like the 2040 carbon goals, or there's integrated resource plans that the utilities have to file. That there's pushback, and now there's this whole interest in the AI boom, which is starting to open up conversations about moving away from some of those climate goals in certain spaces, which I think so far we and many other organizations have been very successful at pushing back on, but it is a risk because there's so much feeling of urgency around we need so much more energy. Um, uh, so I don't know if I'm fully answering that question. I feel like we could talk about that one for probably 2 or 3 hours, but it's a quick
Yeah,
summary.
I'll add that, there's talk I heard recently on NPR lately about nuclear, and there's like a moratorium in Minnesota about no nuclear plants. And this is a conversation they're talking about as like lifting that moratorium because of how to meet that goal. And that's something that, you know, is that like that plays a role. Like how much nuclear are we going to build to meet these goals or whatever. So that's something, that's happening. Okay. I think, yeah. And then, just to kind of highlight, we had one other question that was just about, what does it mean to be a member, and what responsibilities can one expect to take on by being a member? And Kyle, I'll let you take that on.
That sounds good. And thank you for that question. And we're thrilled if you are not a member yet and are here. So love this question. And it really means that you are able to participate in our programs on a very practical level, which save you money on your utility bills, lower greenhouse gas emissions, all those good things. But it also means that you're part of building systems that are more fair, that are more balanced with the needs of our planet and the needs of our communities. And honestly, what it means is different to each person. And we're looking for members. We don't want to as the staff dictate, this is what your member experience is. I mean, we want feedback from members. This is what we're looking for. This is what we want. This is what we need. Because this, as a member of a cooperative, you are our bosses, and members drive how we do our work. You can be a member and, get your bill and never talk to us again. We have plenty of members who do that, and we get it. And then we are absolutely looking to build more capacity across our communities to spread the word and invite and more people into this movement, to build it together. Again, we don't want to just be prescriptive of this is what it means. And would love to talk about that more with you. I don't know if you go by Angel or Angel, but thank you for that question. Really appreciate it.
I think we can move on maybe to the and folks, if we didn't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up with you. So I think we'll do the voting stuff now, Kyle.
That sounds good. I am going to share my screen and invite our communications director, Allie Doyle, to pop on.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, couldn't find the light switch earlier. How is everyone doing today? I know most of you are muted, but it's nice to see all of your faces, a lot of names that I already know. This voting piece is going to be pretty quick. Kyle, if you will remind me of the name of the nominee that's here right now. Oh, you're muted.
Haha, thank you. We have Bronson and Aaron, and I believe I'm not missing anyone, right? Corey
Do we also have Brett too?
and Brett. Yes, so 4. Sorry. Yeah, I can't right now. I don't have the whole grid up in front of me. So yes, if you want to.
So we wanted to give an opportunity to the folks that nominated themselves or were nominated by someone else to give about a 2-minute pitch, if you will, to the members that we have here. And then I'll give a little bit of this voting process is going to look different than you've seen in the years past. It's also going to look different than it might at the in-person meeting, but we can start with Bronson, if that's okay.
Didn't mean to.
Yeah, the blessing and the curse of being pretty far up in the alphabet, all the way back to Little League Baseball. I'm Bronson. I'm running for the board. I've dedicated my career to clean energy, which has spanned from graduate school to running operations for a community solar company here in DC where I live. But I'm very interested in the work that CEF is doing. I've done just about everything there is in the clean energy space, from hiring and managing technical staff to leading due diligence for new financing, leading market and policy analysis, and bringing core functions into scaling organizations like project management or technical system design. I've also, throughout my life, have been privileged to been fed, housed, educated by cooperatives. My background is also just very deeply hardwired, both through studies and where I've been, into the economics of the commons and polycentric governance. I'm from Indiana. I studied in Bloomington, and that's like kind of the ethos and the approach that we bring to public policy making and governance. And so I specialize in this intersection of cooperative governance and operations. And as CEF is at this really important inflection point in a very tumultuous environment. I think just the potential for the organization is so critical that it remains democratically led, and doesn't, kind of slide into like a de facto staff-led organization. I think we need to ensure that internal operations are not just or just as radical and resilient as the clean energy that we're trying to build together. And I would be honored to receive votes from anyone today in helping steward CEF into the next era and the future of the organization. So thank you again for your consideration, and looking forward to potentially working much closer with you all in the future.
Thank you, Bronson. We'll move on then to Corey. If Corey, you want to give a quick 2 minutes.
Yeah. My name is Corey Neely, and I work with Cooperative Development Services right now. Prior to that role, I was executive director of Solar Share Wisconsin Cooperative, which actually was modeled on a lot of the bylaws and work that Cooperative Energy Futures is doing. My first experience working in the cooperative space was in that role as executive director, and it was started by Renew Wisconsin as a part of a grant. Prior to that, I was working on a startup of my own, was in the home energy space, and working to help people with like home electrification and build out tech around helping people make good decisions when it came to what they should put in their home. It was geared towards the not low income, but income constrained homeowner that was, really would struggle with an unexpected $500 bill or something like that. We were trying to help those folks. Before that, I worked for Public Power for about a decade on various energy programs, renewable energy, uh, uh, electrification, and a bunch of other things within that, serving 5 communities in South Central Wisconsin. And then before that, I worked for a program called Green Madison, which was very similar to the work that Bryn's doing. We helped folks understand what was going on in their home, help them with their audits, and then connect them with incentives and financing to make sure that work was done. So I've got a bunch of kind of experience. I'm not gonna be able to make it to the in-person event, but I sent a letter and I said really the reason why I ran is because I want to repay CEF for the work that they helped. Timothy made my life a lot easier. And was a really great person that I could reach out to, and I really value that that cooperation amongst cooperatives. That adhering to that principle really helped us, and that's exactly what we need right now as we build this cooperative movement, as we try and find new ways to rethink how our energy systems work and make them more equitable. And having worked for Public Power, I'm a huge proponent of that. I'm currently working with a lot of cooperatives. And so I'm super excited to work with them in Minnesota and continue this work. So I'll leave it at that. And yeah, real excited to be a part of this cooperative.
Thanks, Corey. I'm going to move on then to Aaron.
All right. Thank you. Well, my name is Aaron Miller. I'm glad to have a chance to introduce myself tonight, and I'm running for the board. So I'd love to talk about some of my interests and what I think I can add to the already really impressive work that CEF has been up to. So like everyone here, I'm sure I care very deeply about the clean energy transition. During my day job, I'm a leader in a technology and analytics organization. I focus my career on using technology and data to expand and scale organizations where I work. And what I think we saw in the presentations tonight was that CEF is at a really pivotal moment where we're anticipating a huge amount of growth, and having the infrastructure and the tools in place to scale that growth in an efficient way can really, I think, be an accelerator to the organization. Personally, I bring a passion for renewable energy, green energy in a lot of ways. It's really been an obsession for me in my household over the last 10 years or so. We have, it turned into a kind of small question, turned quite large very quickly in insulation and windows and EVs and heat pumps. And solar installations, plural. So I've been through that process a number of times, and so sort of have seen that sort of from both sides. Even with the motivation and the drive and the capacity to do all that stuff, it's enormously complicated and time consuming and difficult, and really very enormous barrier to entry. And I feel like an organization like CEF makes it attainable for folks without all those other things. We have all these different demands on our time. It's not realistic for everyone to be able to spend that amount of time each day. So that I truly believe in the model. I feel like working with an organization like CEF with a co-op model both makes that attainable for a much broader audience. I feel like what I can add is both the experience to do it, the business sense, the technology background, and the enthusiasm to get involved. So I'd love for your consideration when the voting comes around. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Aaron. And then last but definitely not least, Brett, one of our current board members, he is rerunning. So Brett, take it away.
Thank you, Allie. And thank you, everyone. And wow, I'm so impressed by I've read through all the candidate bios and just hearing everyone else talk. I'm very excited for CEF's future. It's a strong set of candidates to vote for. So I have been a board member for 4 years, a subscriber. I love seeing the discount every month on my Excel bill, and I think that what I have enjoyed most about being a board member is I think it's the people and the education that I have gotten from just being in this community, learning so much, and there's a lot of it's a lot of discussion, a lot of thought, a lot of navigating things, and I think that this cooperative model has been a very eye-opening experience for me to really dig into and understand, and I really have enjoyed doing that. My background is technical. I've worked for right out of college. Worked for Ford Motor Company as an engineer. Worked on wind turbines, and also have done some education stuff, substitute teaching in Minneapolis public schools. My background is pretty eclectic. I think that as I have gotten older, I've really come to appreciate the power of community and the power of what we can do collectively. And it's been an honor to be a board member so far, and I hope to continue to do that. So, yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, Brett. So that's the last running board member. It's the last board member we have up for nomination that's here at the virtual event. Kyle, do you mind putting that slide up again? And we can go through some of
The voting guidelines?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going to drop in the chat for everybody here the link that you can go to vote. We're using an app this year called Condorcet. And and you should have also received that link through an email. And if you didn't, it's in the chat. And if you need extra help, just let us know. Thank you, Bren. The CEF board candidate bios you should have also received in your email. And if you didn't, they are located on our website. I can put that link in the chat as well, but I don't want you to get them confused. So give me 1 second. Then Kyle, let me know when you have that screen share up.
Oh, geez. Like I could see it. I thought I was thought I was sharing. Sorry. There it is.
Okay. It's so small for me. My cat is trying to join the party, everyone. Okay, so in the chat right now, you will have the board candidate bios, and then the previous link that I put in is the link to vote. The easiest way to explain this is that what I put here, each of the choices is ranked. So where a smaller number rank means that you prefer that choice more. For example, give your top choice the rank number 1. And we have 10 candidates this year. So you would rank them 1 through 10. Or you can give them the same rank if you have no preference between them. The biggest difference that we have this year is that we're keeping the voting open longer past both of these annual gathering times to ensure that every member gets an opportunity to vote. So the voting will close Saturday, June 6th at 11:59 p.m. It's just important that you get your vote cast by then, but you do not have to have it in by the end of this meeting. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of us. All of our contact information is on the website, or it's just our name plus at cooperativeenergyfutures.com, or our names at cooperativeenergyfutures.com. Hopefully shortening that soon. Yeah, that's pretty much all of the rules for voting this year. And I definitely encourage everyone to go and look at all of the board candidate bios before you cast your votes. I know we had a couple of folks here today. There's going to be candidates that are also at our gathering on Saturday. And so just want to make sure that every member gets to hear about all of the candidates before casting your vote.
And we'll send out all the needed links after the meeting as well to everyone. So don't feel like you furiously have to record all this in the moment.
Yes, and the last thing that I want to say regarding voting is it'll probably be 2 or 3 days after the voting closes that we'll have the results. So you'll also get that in an email. Probably your next newsletter email will be the announcement of the people that won the election. Not the very next one, but the next one after voting closes.
All right. Any questions on how that works?
I'm sorry, I missed part of what you just said, but how long do we have to vote?
You have until 11:59 on June 6th. That's a Saturday.
Oh, like more than a week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
We'll also send this slide deck out to people as well. All right, well, are there any other questions about voting candidates before we move on to?
I'm sorry.
That's all right, Peter.
How many board members are we electing?
7.
And there's
10
people?
candidates.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I missed some stuff.
That's okay, Peter. I didn't even say that part, so I appreciate you noting it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so our final activity for the evening is a drawing for a Haynes solar cooker and portable solar camping panel. There'll be two different things. I just want to say this guy on the right, Luther Kruger, he lives in South Minneapolis. He's probably one of the premier solar cooker experts in the country. He's starting a solar oven museum. He is donating a couple, so he donated these to CEF. He'll be available if you win this or you want to, get one yourself. This Haynes solar cooker is very affordable. And there's just so much to say about solar cooking. I have one, I've done it myself. It's amazing to just like, oh my God, the sun actually can cook food. It's so obvious, and to see it in action is so cool. And we'll also be raffling off a portable solar panel. And this is just two random names picked. Bryn, are you ready? We'll start with the Haynes solar cooker.
Yes.
At
So
least give us a drum roll or
a
something.
drum roll. Here we go. Is that a good drum roll, Peter? Okay. So yeah, from the solar cooker, we got Dan Peterson.
Dan.
Way to go, Dan.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never win anything.
Aw,
You did tonight.
you did tonight.
Tell all
And
your
Lucky
friends.
day.
We'll be in
Well,
touch to get that to you, Dan.
thank you.
And lucky you, you live not too far from Luther, who will be happy to teach more about it. And there just is an incredible international solar cooker movement. I mean, there's so many ways that these are, life-saving, energy-saving. Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable.
And I may have met Luther before. I believe at one of the open streets events, there was a solar cooking display and he was there and I was intrigued. So I guess I'll find out even more now.
Yes, and he'll be at our in-person event on Saturday. Sorry for those of you who can't make it. We absolutely plan to do some more events with Luther and just have like a solar brunch with CEF members. So you can, if you didn't win, you can learn more about them, watch them in action. And Luther will be at the heart of that. And then how about the REI portable solar panel?
Yeah, the winner there is Yoga. Congrats, Yoga.
Woohoo!
Awesome. Thank you.
And that is something that we will just have shipped to you. So we'll get your info later. So congratulations on winning that. And we are, we're at 8:25. I'm kind of amazed. Like we got a lot in. I'm gonna stop sharing. I really do. This is one of the best parts of this job is being with members. I know it's virtual, but I'm hoping that we can do it in person. If any of you aren't members yet and have questions, please reach out and ask. We always, if finances are a barrier to becoming a member, we have ways to work with you on that. I'll put my email in the chat in a second. But just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being curious about being a member. Thank you for being a member. We truly are building something remarkable together. And we need your passion and your expertise. We are not all the experts here. Yes, Timothy has, this incredible mind that holds so much about everything we do. But there's so much just incredible value in our community here. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being on the board, Brett, and thank you for those running. Scott, we're so looking forward to really diving deep into member engagement. And we hope that some of you did sign up for small group interviews and one-on-one interviews with Collectivity. We are giving people a stipend, $25 stipend for doing that, because we know people's time is valuable, even though that's a small thing. And again, thank you. Please be in touch, spread the word. And 3 cheers to all of us. It gives us hope for the future. Again, we'll send out the slides. Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Timothy, it's so great to see how things are going. And remember back when you were at McAllister, when you were, you were,
Yep, slowly but steadily.